Knights of the Anime Table will not be seen tonight, so we may bring you a special presentation. Okay, I just needed a nap before starting this up, but okay, we're going to see what happens here tonight. I think first, I think we might start working on this stupid model I got. If I actually mix a couple of them here, a couple of ship models. See what I need to get done. I know I'm not going to come close to finishing the 66 Enterprise here because it's missing a couple parts. Unfortunately, missing more than a few. I have to pill for a couple other kits to get everything set here, but also I think I might, do a little, history thing on it, I'll put a more modern kits and do a comparison. Let's see if anybody shows up here. Usually will, because those are a bit of a crew that they rather enjoy their moment to shine when they come on these screens. No, yeah, no. But Rosetta, since she's very sick today, Anime just we're gonna give it a week. Everyone to heal up, whatever. But I'm dumb enough to say, no, we got to keep something up. So I'm gonna throw something up for me at least. And later, maybe in the stream, but at some point, where I get some Fortnite going. I liked video from Top 5 Gaming about the history of Kevin the Cube. And just the whole thing of when it first started up. And the whole reason why the name Kevin was because the boards kept shutting. Stop talking about the cube. Okay. And they called him Kevin to get around that. And it stuck. And obviously the game developer noticed because, when the season 2 map rolled around and Steamy Stacks has the name Kevolution Energy or Evolution Power. And it turns out that Kevin was the power source in this thing. So like when we had a big hole in the Y's gone off, and all the left letters Kev out. That's one of the things the players love about the developers. Pay attention; they play along. They'll set up little Easter eggs for things that happen during the game or something. Some spectacular, stupid stupid death, and suddenly there's a little gravestone mark with a car buried. And it kind of goes with when they few years and seasons down the road we had the Operation Skyfall. Skyfall? I think whatever was the big thing with the last reality shows up with their ships and during Fortnite, right, there was all these cubes everywhere. And Dr. Sloan goes, well, we'll fight them back, but then she's going to sell us all out. No, you're not coming back. What, excuse me? you got to say you're going to glance it down. And then Kevin shows back up. But the players managed to reanimate, reboot him, and he comes back blue. And he gets nicknamed Blevin, Blue Kevin. I wonder how much that was also influenced by the fact that Ninja's last name is Blevins. One people, it's not because he's blue. It's Kevin. Yeah, but it's like, other people said, yeah, that was kind of the point of it. I'm waiting for him. Somebody to show up here. I've had my chicken and mashed potatoes. Now, one thing I can do. Got Iron Man's head. Now I just got to get a little color on it. And I went out and I did get some red paint. And this is the water soluble stuff, if I recall. Why did I have to make this? Man. Yes, we're at that age. This thing's sitting small. I have trouble reading it in vertices. All right. Let's see what we're dealing with here. Yeah, water-based acrylic color. Okay, so I already. Where's it there? There's the brushes. The eyes and the mouth I'll do with a toothpick and some black paint, but the big thing is I need all that red. All that yellow covered with some red. Now, one thing, the yellow is a nice match for the jumpsuit here, for the bodysuit. And it was a bit of an interesting chore getting the head and the shoulder, because the actual head is kind of a rubber thing. This is solid resin. So I had to do a little bit of surgery on the opening to get just the widen things, just a tad, so I could shove it through. But it's ain't coming out. But let's see. So we got creep. All right, bugs. All right. Here. A bit of water. Oops. With a bug. All right, well, this thing is water bugs. They sure are lousy in water. Let's see. Hey, Daniel. Let's get that up here. So I'm just gonna get a brush out and get in here. Come on. Try a little something. Okay. Shit. Turn that off. Don't need sound anyway. And turn that again. Let's see. Here's something else. I'm going to try, use my phone as a second camera. Otherwise, I get that stupid thing over there. But it just doesn't want to work. It's too old. Hmm. Come on. Give me a look. Bitch. Okay, fine. Gonna be weird about it. Well, that one's fine. What the hell? Well, I'm just going to have to turn the camera around, I guess. Okay, we'll just do it that way. No. Hold on. No, for a bit. Thanks. What the hell? Yeah, you get out of my damn way. What the freaking hell is this? What? All right, this ain't gonna work. Yeah. Anyway, you should have got a good look there. So, concept needs some work. So let's go ahead. Oh, okay. One way to do it. First time using these paints. Might be better clean up and go later. Get. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Wow. 4 people actually watching. Okay. All right. And there we go. Oh, I can fix the eyes and shit later. Anybody familiar with the original Mego release? You know, yeah, the head's a massive improvement. Okay. I don't think I'll try and paint the eyes and just black, standard, look. All right. At least I got something done, more or less done. Yeah. Put that out. All right. So So, any questions about any matters that might be able to address until somebody shows up? And let's see, Shiny's doing something over and I don't know what. I like to try and stay out of a lot of political stuff on a night. All right, and well, let's see. How often does Robinette even look at his DMs? I set this up, and he's been on since then. But he did big, observation thing, and it died. Just wasn't proper ending. It just there are any questions gone, and he'd been buffering throughout the stream. So I was wondering if something finally just gave out, and frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if it was one of those lovely rolling blackouts, that California's been subjected to. Oh, yeah, we're going to be so energy dependent, and you can't even maintain the grid yet. Got me, morons. The California I knew is long gone, and there wasn't exactly great shakes then. So I am going to toss up a video here while I go take care of this. Take care of the water they use for the paint. So let's pull something up from the archives. Da. Now where the heck I must have live streamed it. Okay. Well, let's see. Here's one. I'm not sure what it dates back to, but it's a way back. Memo to Paramount. How to say it's only a while back. It's fairly recent. So let's start up a thing from this one here. Alrighty, I figured another thing building up towards Skydance, Paramount finally merging now that the talks are back on, now that certain things have been settled with CBS News. Hope some heads are going to roll over there, but that's another issue. Need to test the issue of what to do with Star Trek now that it's no longer in Kurtzman's hands. Now I'm going to address this mainly towards the execs, because I know it's like the fans, we got all kinds of weird little theories. I have a very elaborate one regarding how everything fits together, what can be ignored, but we got to, it's good. It's confusing to the execs. I know. I think that was kind of the idea, because no, you have to keep us in charge. We're the only ones who know how it works. Well, bull. Okay, it's a TV show. In the end of the day, So, let's just boil it down to this. As far as getting the bulk of the fan, everyone's got somebody likes something, okay? One thing I learned in radio school is, like, no matter how much of an idiot the disc jockey is replacing, he had fans, and you're going to hear from them. But all you do is power on. So, you want to get the bulk of the fan base back. You have to respect the lore. You have to respect the canon, as it's called. But you got to keep the backstory consistent. And up until about 2005 with Enterprise, that was the main thing, to at least try and be consistent. And for the most part, they did. There's a few things here and there they did that a little off. But when you're at least trying, there's usually a way to finesse it to it's not really a violation of it. But so let's just start with established shows that either had Roddenberry in charge or people Roddenberry put in charge. Which means original series, Next Generation, animated series, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise. And the first 6 movies, too. Although, again, I would take Roddenberry's point on that 5 is largely apocryphal. I've got ideas for explanation on that one, but probably best as a drunken commentary track on them. But basically explained away as a ghost story told around the campfire. And it's a one and done that doesn't carry anything beyond that. So it's easily just ignored. Anything beyond that, and again, the next gen movies, although I'd wish we could dump Nemesis, but we're stuck with it. The only episode within that established canon would be the final episode of Enterprise, just because it doesn't work. It clashes so badly with everything on there. It's like there's a few tidbits, but it would only get up when we finally get around to doing an updated version of the Concordance. That's gonna get just kind of an asterisk entry, just a reference. But as far as because there's a couple history points here and there, but for the most part, it's no. Now, beyond that, the J.J. Abrams films, they were already admittedly in an alternate timeline. So that's a closed evolutionary loop. That's not going anywhere. And frankly, the cast is aging out anyway. Okay, so, and they're doing other things. They're not wedded to this. God bless them. Let them enjoy their other careers. The problem you got is mainly with the Alex Kurtzman stuff in Secret Hideout. Mainly the stuff that he had actual direct involvement in. Because they took he took the attitude of, well, you can't keep track of it, so why even try? And just went out blatantly violating canon and throwing it and calling those of us in the fan base who didn't like it just a bunch of, all kinds of weird names. And the low ratings, disrespect, he earned all of that. So it's best, you want to really win back the fan base, disavow that entirely right off the bat. Discovery, even Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds is only better because the format has forced the writers to be better. They can't get away with long, convoluted storylines that stretch on for 3-4 years and never find a resolution. No, they have to wrap it up in one and done, or that's it. So it's kind of forced them to actually be writers for a change and not whatever the hell they think they're doing. But make no mistake, this is still not a good Star Trek show, okay? It's still got problems, mainly because it's joined at the hip with Discovery, which is horrible Star Trek. In fact, of all the current offerings, the only ones that seem to match up at all is Lower Decks and most of Prodigy. And Prodigy, unfortunately, the fatal flaw is it was forced to connect back up to Discovery. They had to include the thing with the android uprising on Mars. It's like, no. We could pick and choose things up until that point. Just lob off that bit and you can keep that and be fine. But when they do that, no, you're connecting back up to the poison tree. And you're tainting the whole thing. Now, Discovery, Lower Decks did it right. With that one little 5-second bit in the last episode where you see a normal Klingon turn into one of the Discovery Klingons. That gave you the opening right there. That's all an alternate timeline. Take that and run with it. And McMahon said he knew exactly what he's doing when he did that. He's as much as a hardcore fan as we are. We know how people are pissed off, but he also wants to keep his job. So he can't say it out loud. But the fact is, yeah, note the shirt. That is the one part of the new, this and the little dangling little carrot of Star Trek Legacy that's out there. We'd like to, there's a big old petition on that one. And that would be the only one where I would, say we'd have to deal with the Kurtzman stuff, because it does come out of it, but it's also the closest to proper mainline Star Trek we've had since the end of Enterprise. Now again, there's ways to get around this, and once again the details I'll certainly provide. I did a video on it. I'll put a link in the final thing or how to. But Discovery, with alternate time in Star Trek, Picard, the third season. If they had let him, he would have disavowed the whole thing, and it would have been just a one and done. Third season has nothing to do with anything. Star Trek wouldn't have been in a. Picard would not have been an android body. That sort of thing. And he fixed as much as he could. Mainly because everyone left him alone. Kurtzman was busy with his stuff here. Goldman was busy with Strange New Worlds. And the network execs at the time didn't give a rip what he was doing either, as long as they just get it done and over with. So he got away with a lot. That's the tack to follow. The two main things, the two big shows that got the best response from the longtime fan base, Lower Decks and Picard Season 3, because it was finally being done by people who know what they're doing and know the universe, know the lore, and know the fans. So there's your path to follow right there. Listen to those guys. And also, if bring back, Ira Stephen Bear and Ron Moore and Renee Echeverria and a few and those guys. In fact, the documentary, What We Leave Behind, they do a little mock session of breaking down the start of an 8th season, where they're getting them back together, where they are, and getting it going. That's another example right there of how you do it, how it's supposed to be done. But guys who know how to make the sausage. That's another big problem where they screwed up, is they brought in a bunch of guys who don't know how it's made and didn't really bother to find out. We're making such a we want to, and it's coming out as crap, isn't it? Because Mike McMahon started, working on Lower Decks, no, we're doing a proper Star Trek show. It would just be funnier. But he's treated it as this is a mainline kind of Star Trek show. We're doing it for real. We're just gonna have fun with it, and they succeeded, I think. But there you go. For the most part, as far as any official announcement, just say, with the exception of these two items here, the rest of it, alternate timeline, we're starting over, and we're starting with the main canon Star Trek. Don't use Prime Universe. That was a J.J. Abrams creation. Nobody referred to Prime Universe before that, okay? If anything, say here's the canon universe, and here's the Prime Universe, and then they got the offshoots. But Prime is not... It's not canon. Use the canon universe, the canon timeline. That'll signal you're totally getting these guys out of the pool. Okay. And also, but especially, also as far as getting the rights to Lower Decks and Legacy, more. Don't worry about no more prequels. Enterprise was fine because you still had like 100 years between there before you started bumping up into stuff. And as it was, they're starting to get into the Romulan War, which would have been hairy. But whoever had the bright idea to do a show just 10 years before the original series and not have it slavishly with the period, because We saw that period in Star Trek history. Discovery starts about a year or so after The Cage. So it's basically people say, oh, maybe the Cage will happen. No, The Cage already happened a year before Discovery started. And that's the thing. None of the technology was even close. The uniforms were hideous. Nothing was consistent, and it was like deliberately not consistent. It's like, we're going to thumb our nose at you. We're going to do it our way. Bite me. And when they started getting backlash, sort of backpedaling on some of the stuff, but it didn't quite work. Because it still didn't match up, because these guys don't know what the hell they're doing. I'll give you an example here. When they did Star Trek Picard Season 1, and they're basing a large part of it off of the Next Generation episode, A Measure of a Man. And yet the entire plot line of that season showed they never even watched Measure of a Man. They got a few points, they got a character name here and there, and a rough description of Data's legal status but they never watched the episode because they came to a conclusion that was utterly impossible after that episode. They're talking about, a android slave uprising, whereas the end of that episode established that Data had legal rights as a citizen. They directly address the thing. It's a conversation between Guinan and Picard in 10 Forward. Where Guinan, they're talking about, every society has disposable people. They do the dirty work and stuff. And that's when you're talking about slavery. Well, I think it's a bit harsh. I don't think it's harsh enough. That's exactly what we're talking about. And that's what turned the whole thing. When they started, they were talking about creating a race of slaves with these androids. And the thing is, that was, so the Martian uprising in Picard Season 1 should never have happened, because there would never have been a race of android slaves to begin with. And they just pulled the thing, and they bring a character of Bruce Maddox. It's like, the actor's still around. They didn't bother to call him and say, come and want to do this part again? No. I got someone totally different. No, he's in UCLA teaching in an acting class. Melinda Snodgrass, whose story is based on, she never got a call. I think she still owed some money here. In fact, if I want to look at the entire run of Discovery and figure out and Strange New Worlds, and figure out how many writers or their estates have a good claim of filing a grievance against Secret Hideout for the stories they ripped off. I think you got enough there. It's going to be a class action lawsuit here. Starting with, most egregiously, I think, Harlan Ellison, with how they glommed onto the Guardian of Forever. Because apparently it was in Harlan Ellison's will, do not let Star Trek touch City on the Edge of Forever. He had been turning down, requests for years. People want to use the things. No, you can't do it. And also Paul Schneider's estate for what they did with Balance of Terror, where they essentially, one episode of Strange New Worlds, they essentially cut and pasted the entire damn story with no credit at all to either the episode or the writer. If I was connected with him, or his estate or whatever, his family, it's like, I would have grievance filed the next day. And Ursula K. Le Guin's short story was ripped off an earlier story in Strange New Worlds. Like, it's ridiculous. And Dorothy Fontana, they ripped off the entire backstory they had cooked up for number 1. It's like, unfortunately, when you take over, it's also going to get all the baggage that came with it. So the legal department will be busy for a while cleaning up Kurtzman's mess. If they're smart, they'll send the bill to Secret Hideout. Where he's cost the studio enough. Okay? But the big thing though is just disavow, for the most part, anything from Kurtzman and Secret Hideout. But there's still a hunger for Lower Decks and for Picard, for Star Trek Legacy, as it's being referred to. The model to follow on that is the whole thing when Paramount got the rights to the animated series from the 70s. Because that was produced by Filmation, so they didn't have full rights to it, so they couldn't reference it during Next Generation's fan, and they had to wrangle that all out. Once that was settled, it's owned by Paramount now completely, and they got references in DS9 and Enterprise and everything. And they certainly went hog wild on Lower Decks with animated series references. So that's the path to follow. Look that one up, see what they did in that, and proceed accordingly. And be able to grab what you want from Kurtzman. Maybe grab the whole damn thing, but you don't have to use everything. You can put the rest of it in the closet and never see it again, hopefully. But there is a path forward. There is a way to get this thing going and have stuff that will bring back the fans and hopefully return a little of the luster to what was the crown jewel franchise in the Paramount umbrella. Because unfortunately, right now it is what Shatner said in the SNL TV show, "Get a Life." No, this needs to be repaired. Things cannot continue as they were. They certainly cannot continue with any influence from Kurtzman. So, yeah, don't renew that contract. If you renew it, if word gets out that contract's being renewed, then that's it. It's over with. Because this is the one shit we've had for years. We've been praying for this contract to not be renewed for years. We've been trying to do a stopwatch on that from the time we found out about it and started seeing the product. Oh God, this cannot end soon enough. It's like waiting on the Star Wars side. When is Kathy Kennedy finally going to get fired for what she's doing to Star Wars and the Lucasfilm? Why does she still have a job? Okay, what does she have on Bob Iger? Okay, but yeah, it's like enough. Rip the Band-Aid off. Send them packing. Okay. Get it in house and bring people back who know how it was made back in the day and how to get it done. And I think part of the thing is the bloated budgets and limited episode runs. It's not helped. Because yeah, it's a pain in the ass to work on like 26 episodes a year with not an adequate budget, but it forces you to be creative. It forces the writers to actually write themselves out of holes they've written themselves into. You can't just say, well, let's do a special effects spectacular. No. You can't afford it. You got to write your way out. And good writers thrive on those limitations. Okay? I can't do this, and get the hell off their lot. And any future show, I was never a Star Trek fan. Bye. J.J. Abrams never should have gone through the first interview. The second he said, well, I was never a Star Trek fan growing up. Well, then what are you doing here? I got 100 directors on a list here that are hardened Star Trek fans. I can get Ron Howard in here, diehard Star Trek fan. He can deliver. Why am I talking to you? Or Quentin Tarantino. I'd still like to have seen what Quentin Tarantino would have done. Because he's actually sounding like in that one, the way Tarantino operates, it would have been loud. It would have been probably profane. But it would have been so canon adherent, I could have put it in the concordance. Okay? But yeah, the rest, this is above my pay grade, so I'll leave it to you guys that, when this whole merger comes out. Hopefully this will come up. And we'll talk at you later. Okay, I don't even think the video's over with. Yeah. Total coincidence, I'm wearing the same shirt. Okay. Let's go ahead and pull that. But yeah, it's like, yeah. Let's see. Got this set up down here with the drawing table and running. Got the little lights. The way you do these things, you got to go in from there, string the wires through there. This one kept bending. Kept hitching up on them, trying to get to the hole. This one went through fine. Just right there. But let's see. Let me get a 9 volt here. So demonstrate the lights. Okay. See, I've got this here. Like that right there. So, whoops. Put this so it'll stay put. And hopefully it'll show up on camera. Come on, you. And can't see it. Off. Let's bring it down a bit. Because I could see it working, but I didn't see it on camera. And yep, lights work. Little grain of wheat light bulbs, and they're about as old as I am. So, like I said, we're talking a 1966 release here. Same thing with this one. Go. Oh, come on, you. Grief. Come on. There we go. Get back here. All right. And there. And yep. Nope. Oh, crap. Do it this way. Down there. Come on, you. Get into the damn wire. There we go. Let's get a stream here. All right. On. Overhead off. barely see it. Meanwhile, you can see the battery. Yeah, I got air conditioner. Check my nose here. There. And I'm trying to get it dark enough to see the light. Darn, I can't see what I'm doing. There we go. Or something. There. Okay. So it's got, Alright. So those work. And something else with these kits, you got two holes up here with things. This is where the thing, and you want to run it through here. That front hole. And this one will be roughly the same thing. They'll go into down to the secondary hull. I'm going to put those aside for now. I think we're going to leave the light like that. A little less harsh. While the video's on, I went and got the stand together. I'm not sure I'm going to use this thing. This part's busted off, and the thing is, the way the thing worked, you had to glue the lower half of the secondary hull to the stand, and that kind of cuts down the ability to fly it around the room. So we got two halves of the secondary, upper secondary. Clips over here. Find them. Got a very large clip here. In the summer, I got some smaller ones. In this case, should be fine. Now, I did give these a good wash beforehand. But one thing to note with the older, the connections on the pins and all this are a lot more robust than on later versions. And frankly, when they started simplifying the molds a bit, they went a little too far. Now these aren't good. Unfortunately, I had to go with the non-toxic. Also known as the version of the glue that nobody really likes. So yeah, it doesn't smell as bad, but it also doesn't work as good. Come on. Come on. A little glue smugglers. Get rid of it quick before it really starts making a mark on them. Now, one thing is that earlier moldings, the stuff along there is very sharp, very clean. And same thing at the bottom one too. It's like later versions, these got really rough. A lot of putty work just to try and make them flat. The quality control has started slipping a bit. But it's like, for some reason, when they, in about 76 or so, or 70, they did a 75 they did a totally, because they worn out the molds, basically. And they went about simply, you can see the original were based a lot on things, but the decisions they made was like, okay, the only improvement was the way that the struts for the nacelles went into the secondary hull. That's the only thing. They got rid of the little homing beacon down there over the shuttle bay. They turned the deflector housing. It's like, like suddenly you got, and this is actually an accurized version I got from Cult TV, man. They just see a little, raised edge, totally flat. It's like, what are you doing? But yeah, here's an example of what they did. They just, no, it's not supposed to be like that. And the deflector dish was like the first one was rather large, but they went totally nuts on the rest of the other direction and made it too small and a lot of detail. And with the primary hull, I'm trying to get angler so you can see that. Those 3 dents, these guys here. The mystery still why they're there in the first place. They're not on the model, they're not on the drawings. The only thing that really makes any kind is that it's maybe something to do with getting the mold release. Did they get rid of them with the remake? No. They realigned them. Because someone, they're supposed to be there, right? No, they're not supposed to be there. We want to get rid of them. One of the things a lot of modelers do, even more than sanding off the deflector grid on the upper saucer, is to fill in those damn dents, or the dimples. They're not supposed to be there in the first damn place. I don't know if I want to glue this together just yet. But I'm going to do a little light blocking first. One thing, the lack of guide pins on this has been a bit of a pain. So lining these guys up can be a bit of an adventure. So I think that should be enough for now. But like this original version, though, because you had, this is where the batteries are. It's missing the 2 metal tabs that would. There, okay. Screw holes are right here and here. Do a couple of L-shaped metal tabs on there. There, and inside you got a couple of AA batteries. And the deflector housing part that goes on the front is, which I'm missing for this kit. I don't know if it actually came with it, and I never noticed it because I see some of these damn things are going to blur together. But do I have an example here? No, these are after the ones. But if I can get at least. But like this sucker here, you would on the back of this bad boy, there was a bit of a kind of a curved tongue thing that stuck out a bit, and you would turn it, and actually here by this point you actually see some of the roughness in the mold. They didn't quite fill the mold, but they would turn that, and that would push in or rotate into or push in the contacts and turn on the lights. So I should have some duplicate somewhere in another kit somewhere. I might have and cannibalize that and have to do parts anyway for it. But also part of the thing when they simply is to get into it though, is you got a lot more robust internals there for, you know, because this thing he didn't glue together, he just put it together and it snapped together like that. And to change out the batteries, you just snap it off. And the batteries being the kind of trailer. And the thing is, when they got rid of the lights in like 69 or so, they took out everything in here. They should have kept some of this, you know. I think I can probably put the hanger doors in place. Well, one thing I found out in doing another kit is that you can't really mix and match old and new moldings very well. Case in point, the hanger doors. You'd think this would have carried. Nope, they did it. And these guys are not the same as the newer kit. They're slightly bigger. Because I figured I'll just raid this kit and use those. Nope, didn't work that way. And these guys fit right in there. The newer ones, they're a little too big. It makes things, you know, not fit very well. Like, I think it'll fool you. You can probably get it into the lower hull, but the upper hull spreads out too much. One of the things that kind of drive me crazy dealing with these kits, took one, I had to actually get one, but finally found one because there's a later version of this while the show was still on the air though. This is where they got the photograph of the kit with, you know, lit from there and the light and the cells lit up and everything. That's, you know, where you're at. And I finally got an example over there. I managed to get it for cheap. No, how. Mainly because it's partially assembled and got parts of other things. But it had clear orange nacelle domes, you know, and another set of wires going up into the nacelles. But trying to figure out which kit is this, you know, what, because AMT was rather horrible of not updating the catalog numbers and not changing the boxes in any particular set. So a lot of it's like, well, they changed the kit, they didn't, you know, the same box though. It still went out, you know. So, but I do think a big clue though, you can kind of, on average, there'll be a little overlap here and there, but on average though, if the box has on there, as seen on NBC TV, it's got lights. Whereas, you know, the later long box kits, where they totally got rid of the lights, if that's just a black box, so, you know, that doesn't say as seen on TV, as seen on NBC TV, then that's when they got rid of the lights. And they got that cradle base. And a little, you know, and it really gets crazy because later on, when they changed the nacelles, when they changed from this cockamamie little tab through the thing to kind of a half moon piece with a slot thing, which was better. There's no indicator there when that is, because that was like last long box and then going into the short box issues. They carried over. You can a few long boxes there, but mostly, you know, the early short box releases. That's where you get that operation. But then you got to want, you know, you got to, okay, when did they? Because it's also the short boxes. They didn't change the art for like over 20 years on that kit. The only clues on that one Well, it's subtle, like when Ertl bought them out, so that's AMT Ertl, and they changed the catalog number. And that's no damn, like this number's now this. If you got that, then definitely you got, they've changed the molds. But they changed the molds shortly before Ertl bought them out. So there's still some AMT kits out there with that old catalog number with the new molds. So in the end of the short box there, it's educated guess time. If it's old catalog number and they're still advertising for the windbreaker, even then, you got better choice chance that it's going to be the slot in the Hammond thing, but don't plan on it because again they didn't update the boxes very often. They didn't change the catalog number at all until Ertl bought it out and that thing. Oh, good. Put this bad boy together for that. Because yeah, with the newer hangar doors, this does not fit as well. It pushes it out, and so I had to do some stuff with that. But yeah, with the older kids, like snaps together, not much there, I mean, it's got to be a seam because if you don't glue it together, you got to be able to get it apart to get the batteries. But otherwise, but it's also on the older decal sheets. You blind me, you cut right through the middle of the pennant because half was on each side. Now this one, I noticed the holes here for the nacelle are a lot sharper than I usually see. In this situation, I don't even really have to glue them. But I think since there's no lights on these things, might as well get these guys together. There's some warpage just because it's an old kit. Okay. So, again, any questions, now's your chance. And later, I've taken the tack that, no, this is not the Constitution-class starship. This is a slightly older class. I call it the Bonhomme Richard. Sort of an homage to Starfleet battles. I know Foley liked that when I mentioned it to him. Over in Trickyard. And Steph is watching James Gunn's Superman movie. I'm kind of inclined to go along with Snarky J's assessment. But Corn Sweat certainly has a handle on the character. The question is, James Gunn really doesn't have a handle on the character. Okay, yeah. I need to find more clothespins around here. It's part of the project of cleaning this joint up. I did dig up the masking tape. Perfect. That's going to be a problem. Although I have an idea. One of the easier if I can get it. Find a clothespin somewhere. I had one here somewhere. Let's use this essentially as a clamp. As I retrieve the clamp that just fell down. Dang it. Down there. There we go. All right. This is not exactly the most secure surface, so I'm going to watch it. Come on. If there's any glue damage is on the inside where no one's going to see it. Now, this might be one of those rare cases where the nacelles actually fit in and stay straight. Oh, there's a clothespin. I think that's not going to work there. Hold on. Okay, that seems to be holding well. Now let's move on to the other one. Let's keep an eye on it. Now let's actually masking tape. I don't think this is terribly old. long-time viewers might remember the time several years ago I had the bright idea. Try and build one of these blindfolded. Actually, not one of these, the newer ones. Didn't go well. However much you may intimately know this kit, there are certain aspects of it that, no, you have to see what you're doing. I think that's probably enough on that. Anyway, as far as the old saw about, there's no taper on the nacelles, there is, no. Let me see. There's a loose one in here. Should be. There you are. Okay, I think that knife is still up front. Okay. But basically, you'll note on here, they pretty much flush on there. On the back side, wow, some bitch. This was correct on Raylan's. I stand corrected. Right. Initial kit did not have a taper. Sure seemed like it did. Anybody else knows that was a late version. A later molding too. All right. Well, what do you know? All right. I'll mess with that later, though. Probably gonna pull them out. I might as well talk about the way they have somehow come up with the idea to attach these things. Nope. That's not done yet. But no, it's the loop on the bottom. There's little tabs that stick through those tabs and secure the nacelle strut in place. Look at these numbers. I can find them. Oh, there we are. Yeah, these little jobbers are right there. Little curved puppies. You slide them through there. There's a bit of a lip on either end of them. Thing is, the directions aren't exactly clear which way you put them in, which probably caused a lot of the problem. And they're not sitting straight here. And I think what I'm going to do here, I'm not going to glue them in the one because this is a very tight fit. This one I think was pretty early in the run. So I'm going to figure out how to put these bad boys in there and just slide them in there. And hopefully not have any problems there. I think I can probably put the impulse sections on here. That shouldn't be a problem. That doesn't really interfere with anything. Well, I really do need my knife. Well, never mind that. All right. There's a good chunk enough to rip these apart and do it over anyway. But yeah, this is unusually snug, and that's the way they would sit. And actually, now this is one of the structural points of how to differentiate this class from a Constitution class, because the nacelles aren't just straight halfway. There'd be a bit of an angle where they attach there. Okay, great. Now, leave that in there. I'm going to turn it up though. So we're going to put that aside for now. There. Need that at some point. Okay. So I'm going to put a few things over here. I got quite a bit of progress on that there. So get too much stuff. That over there. Well, I gotta do that again. Set up a drawing board. I think this one was my sister's. Let's just say I've had that longer than any of you have been alive. Let's turn this stuff back up out of the way. And I think we'll go ahead and fire up Fortnite. Okay. So let's see. Let's see if anything, any new free ones for Labor Day? Nothing new I want to get into. This looks like a Destiny thing going on. Or just coincidence in title. Okay. Let's go ahead and get into it here. Get a quick peek who's on. Yeah. Too quick. All right. While that's booting, I'm going to take care of a little housekeeping here. Get this out of the way. To prevent another disaster with this bad boy. Oh, come on. gun does not really get super heavy. Yeah, Nicholas Hoult is, he plays a good villain. Although having Lex go that psychotic, that's a bit out of character. Lex is not the type to gun people down. He has people for that. He doesn't do it himself. A little too much of, establishing, oh, he's really bad now. Okay, high-tech billionaires don't do that kind of street-level thug shit. Okay? I'll dig you up Doomcocks and Snarky J's review. Okay. I think I'm going to do that now. Whoop. No. All right. There. Okay. Okay, let's see if it loads. Okay. Okay. Send this to my wife. And then Of course. All right. All right. I just sent you links, by the way. I just sent you some links to what. See what's going to work this time. No, this company one night, before we knew how the light system in this place worked. Because the way it works is there's a remote in the where the switch is that works both the fan and the lights. As an overall power switch. The thing is, the batteries died in one in the bedroom, so that we couldn't change it. We just turned it on, turned it off. But so made life kind of fun. But once after meeting with the manager, this remote, what remote? That's what they want. Oh, okay. Pull that out. Okay, and then went to batteries plus. Because it's an odd battery. It's not a standard size battery. You got to go to a special place for it. Got a couple of those. Got Duracells this time, so whatever the hell they had in there. But for a while, it was like the battery died. It was like we were stuck with the fan on and the light off. I couldn't turn the light on to save my life. So I had to do it like this. But I kind of like the look of this one. It's good once in a while. No, this Superman. I think Gunn, trying a little too hard. Too much of a fanboy himself. They go on like this, and you shouldn't be wearing the Kingdom Come S shield. I never particularly cared for it anyway, but within the context of Kingdom Come, it kind of made sense. Right out the block, though, no. That is one of the most. The Superman S shield is one of the most recognizable bits of graphic art on the planet. Everyone knows it. Tribesmen in outer Mongolia recognize it. Okay, so it's like you're messing with very basic stuff here. So it kind of goes, you don't mess with the basics, okay? And it's pretty basic. It's a pretty easy thing to get right, and they fucked it up. And the suit doesn't fit well anyway. It's like when they put Henry Cavill in the old Christopher Reeve suit. He looked fine. Job done. Enough with the set. Everything's got to look like a freaking wetsuit or whatever. Okay, so we're in. Let's get in here. See, is anybody online that I can... Not as yet, really. All right, let's look at the shop, see what anything's changed. At some point. Come on. Shop. Thank you. All right. All right. Here's your best sellers for the day. Buddy Holly. I'm assuming let's turn the license music on for just a bit. So if it is what I think it is. Yeah, these are. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna turn that back off now before I get into trouble and you know. So One Punch Man still going. It's like sorry, I don't. See, that's a little more intimidating character, you know, but this guy. Best thing for is the glitching is deliberate. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know the character at all, or what the nature is, or some kind of construct. But yeah, if I were to wind up with this guy, I wouldn't run this version at all. I'd do the other style. And we got gorillas. Kind of cute, you know, like in the way. India do a good cosplay with that. That's one case where, you know, wearing the binder would be justified because this kid is flat as a board. I know I have a version of this character. It was part of, you know, I think it was a ranked thing. Then I got these guys. Don't know that group. Azuki. No. No, I don't think so. You know, think about smashing the guitars out. The beat downs early on. It's like they got very good at gluing guitars back together. I think it was like caught up in the moment. They were okay. We don't have replacements really. So like, guess what? And I don't see anything new, and I couldn't afford anyway because I, you know, shot my wad on that one. Okay, and then we got Atsuri Miko. So Anime Night is happy he got her. And then Eminem. And more Lego stuff, and then the crew, and then the stuff you got to spend more money on. Okay, so let's go and get back up here. Quick look at what's next on the shopping list. Yeah, I still got to claim some more stuff before I get to that. So, listen, I'm not going to bother with a preset for this guy. So it's like, no, there's no. It's just not my thing. So I think right now it's just like get that, wrap that up, move on to the next level. Just give quests. Okay. All right. Collect items, epic or better, and travel distance while sliding. Okay. Only 150? That's easy enough. Weeklies. Fortunately, that needs to wait until, I'm in a team situation and they're flying the chopper and I can get some. Actually, I just gotta just score 3 hits. These. All right. All right. See what happens with that. Still got over a week for that, so. I'm not particularly concerned about this. Complete a Hunter Shadow briefing. You can actually follow through with it. All right. Let's go ahead and jump on in here. A few chances I got to clean the keyboard. All right. All right. All right. Suppose I need to put this in the Fortnite stream list. Of course. And we got the red arrow of doom here. So. Although strange enough, sometimes those games work out okay. Come on, glider. Thank you. All right. No, I'm not going to bother with that. Oh, geez, it's going to be one of those. Thank you. Nope, not going to bother with that. Okay. So let's clear up the ones up here. Check the across the pitch other way. Oops. No. I like the shotgun I have. Especially like that I got a blue one. I don't like the sweeper one. Too slow. No. Okay, go with it. Oh, come on. There we go. I gotta say, leave no ammo can behind. Those 10 rounds might be critical at some point. Yeah, we're gonna get to. Yeah, let's. Can't be hanging around there, though. Here we go. Okay. Takes care of that. Don't walk up on me. Come on. Stop it. Because I see a large chest over there. Come on. There we go. No. Well, someone's been here, but they weren't very careful, were they? Come on. Let's clean this place up before I leave. Come on. The only real reason to get an OXR rifle is if you got a test that requires you to have an OXR rifle. Otherwise, it's like, frankly, you're better off with any of the other ones because it's a slow rate of fire. What? That's nice. I don't need any more man mugs. Fine, whatever. Okay, I just got my mic working for Christ. Okay. Fine, whatever. Okay, God. Like I need another damn mug. We got too many damn mugs as it is, for Christ's sakes. Yeah. Stop locking up on me. Come on. Bye. Not stick around and see who's in that roly poly. It's always a Juice World skin. Little fucker. Oh, did I get you too? What a pity. Now we're going somebody else completely. The lobby, see what happens. I don't think I don't recall leveling up, but you never know. One thing about this place, you got ceiling fans in here and in the main bedroom. But really need one up the front room, living room. That dinky little air conditioner on the wall, like that ain't enough. Especially when the heat goes wonky like it is. Yes, if you're ever going to stop by and visit, call first. We're going to see a little more than you planned on. Simple matter. It's like otherwise I'm sweating the balls off all the damn time. Don't think I leveled up here. We got one quest out of the way. We've done it. All right, damage opponents from above. Can't get better or travel. Yeah, didn't do the sliding thing. Anybody show up yet? Not that I remember. Come on. There we go. Did some Blitz Royale with the one punch man and stuff. It's like, yeah, being able to hit somebody, just hit somebody with a big for 250 points and send them flying. That is fun. I'll grant that. I drug out the Superman skin just for that. I don't know what's going on with my volume. All right. And hopefully by Tuesday we'll at least get a reprieve on the cleanup or get out type thing. So look, we got people willing to help and have helped a little bit. We got a little bit of help on Friday because one of the gals that work, working with these guys, their schedule freed up, so she could go in and help a lot. The kitchen area looks a lot, and the living room area is a lot better than it was before. Hopefully that'll be enough of a proof of concept that, look, just give us some time here. We can get this place straightened out. The other matter is the rent. But that one I've already, I'm trying to get my state representative on that since the housing authority is definitely not going to, in fact, they jacked up our rent by another $52. God knows why. After already establishing we can't afford what it is now. How the hell are we going to afford it even more? Idiots. For this idiotic rule, we're based on your gross income. I don't make the gross income. Nobody does. It's unexpected. Won't be until like. All right. Until I start pulling my Social Security in next year, if we live that long, at this rate. Nothing. No, whatever. Oh, hello. Otherwise, no. I said I don't see that number. It's the gross is meaningless to me because I never see it. Nobody ever does, really, especially at this level. Well, that's just how it goes. Okay, well, I'm going to do it again to see if we can change that rule. Because I guess my political leanings are no secret, but and ordinarily I'd be fighting my state representative tooth and nail. But in this case, it's going to be useful because the fact is that our state representative, well, definite confirmed lefty, is also the majority leader in this state, in the state assembly, state house. So when you're presented with this opportunity, it's like, okay, let's take advantage of this and see if maybe she can, convince the housing authority to back off a little bit and rethink their approach, I think it's also a safe bet that we're not the only ones in the situation. They're supposed to be, and it is, and they've got the paperwork. It is Section 8 housing. And by all rights, I'm on a rant. Don't interrupt me. It's supposed to be set so you can afford it. But when you're based on figures that are not accurate, you're not going to get a good result. And this is what we got here. It's supposed to, I know it's a struggle. It's more than a struggle. It's fucking impossible. We were in the process of being able to get out of a few holes, and now no, we're stuck in there. Unless something changes, we are condemned to live the current life of paycheck to paycheck, and even not even then, because they're trying to get out of this thing of doing these floats and everything else. Like, nope. It's still down to the thing of like, after this round and roundabout, we can't afford this rent. It's like, oh, we're now gonna jack it up another $52. See if that helps. That's why I prefer this over the OXR rifle. I don't think I could have pulled it off with an OXR. Hammer might have, but But right there, that's 4 eliminations right there. Okay, so let's. Hold on. I don't think. I'm not sure driving is the way to get out of here. Let me go back out the way I did. Is this thing working yet? Nope. Let's get up top, get out the way I came. We'll go out the other end. That's a true. Well, this should do the 150 easy enough. Yep, takes care of that. All right.